We're now back in open session. We want to welcome everybody this evening. And before we start everything, could you please join me as we address the flag and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I'd really appreciate that. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Oh, this works much better than my computer at home, which is right now frozen. Okay, that brings us to the consent agenda. We have no additions or corrections, do we? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
Move approval.
Thank you, Mr. And the second was?
Pastor.
Thank you, Pastor. You want to change something?
Go.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Dobble?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Holleran?
Yes.
And Dr. Ashley?
Yes. Motion passes 7-0.
Let me ask, on everyone's agenda, number 6, A, B, and C, do you have recommendation behind each of those? Or a motion, roll call vote, something
Yep.
similar to that? Okay, then we're good.
Yes, we are.
All right,
Yes.
then we're fine.
Oh, was that 6 part of the consent agenda?
No. No.
I didn't think so. Okay,
Yeah. It's there. We just want to,
okay.
we went over that. Okay, that brings us to public comments.
I put some names down.
That would be awesome.
Okay, so, I hope I didn't miss anyone. Looks like we only have 3. Mr. Cronkite, would you like to go first? Okay, would you like it on? Over there? Okay.
Here you go.
Oh, thank you. We didn't catch this.
I didn't either. I'm sorry. What was his name again?
My name is Arthur Cronkite.
Yes, Arthur Cronkite.
Yes. By the way, I don't know if you know it or not, but it's illegal to have to put your name down to speak at a public hearing like this. Have you ever noticed how the technocrats like Pritzker always talk about science during driving their decisions? Yet they never provide those alleged scientific reports. Of course, the cabal media provides cover, slathering on the propaganda to keep the public herded in the right direction, so no one thinks to ask any real questions. In a recent radio news report, the obviously incensed and condescending reporter whined about how only 1/3 of Vermilion County residents had been injected. It was pure propaganda reporting originating from the hive mind of Urbana, Illinois. Obviously, Vermilions are intelligent, critical thinkers, rejecting an experimental nanotechnology jab of an alleged virus that has never been proven to exist, indicated by a fraudulent PCR test that can't tell the difference between fruit juice and blood. And speaking of fraud, Pritzker has once again committed a crime against humanity by ordering that we abuse our school children with masks. And just because he said so, never referring or referencing studies that show they work, because there are none. However, what is out there are dozens of scientific research papers that say pretty much the same thing, like the Stanford study, which stated, face masks are ineffective to block human-to-human transmission of viral and infectious diseases. Wearing face masks has been demonstrated to have substantial adverse physiological and psychological effects. You see, 85% of our body fat goes out through our breath. In that chemical exhaust are components such as methanol, ether, acetone, benzene, hexane, and others. Carcinogens that when inhaled back into the body from a mask are toxic, causing serious, including permanent, neurological brain damage. Toxins so lethal that in industry, to handle those same chemicals requires safety equipment like mine. Also captured in the mask and returned to overwhelm the body are bacteria that cause diphtheria, pneumonia, and meningitis. It needs noted that the chance of any child under the age of 15 dying from COVID is statistically 0. Forcing a child to wear a mask is child abuse, and those responsible need to be held accountable. To carry out the governor's orders make you culpable in a crime and subject to legal action, which are now taking place around the world. In the Nuremberg trials, when asked, how did you convince the German people to accept all of this, Hermann Goring said, the only thing a government needs to turn people into slaves is fear. If you can find something to scare them, you can make them do anything you want. Today, history is repeating as we physically and psychologically torture and destroy our children. These words are being spoken at hundreds of school boards around the country. Doctors are standing before those school boards. In fact, I'm going to email you tomorrow 2 very important videos. Those 2 videos, in combination with the words you just heard here, paint the entire picture of what's going on. You are doing something that is wrong. Scientifically, it is wrong. Legally, you are liable. And trust me, they're coming for you. And it's all over the world. I mean, Ireland has had to immediately drop all of their masking and all the stuff that's going on because somebody took the country to court and said, prove there is a COVID virus, and they couldn't do it. One of the provinces, Canada, has done the same thing. So what's happening is that finally we're seeing people step to the front. They've been to the front all the time. But the problem is our voice, our constitutional First Amendment rights is being destroyed. You can't talk these words on Facebook. You can't post, these people can't post videos on anything. The amount, in fact, I think I read, are you guys broadcasting this via, okay, is the audio on? Okay, good, excellent. So it is a matter of record now. 1 minute, thank you very much. By the way, 5 minutes is pretty generous. I speak a lot to the county board, and several years ago, they decided to quit hearing us, so they cut it down to 3 minutes, just like the newspapers have cut out, our speech. So you need to seriously think about what you're doing. You need to actually start looking out there. You need to find the scientific evidence, and none of it supports anything that's going on. Thank you very much.
Ms. Haley?
Okay, am I allowed to take this off? Yes. Oh, good. Thanks for allowing us to speak, for one thing. It's very good of you. I just want to talk to you about some things that I have questions about, and it has to do with curriculum. You guys, the county or the school board, are the ones that set curriculum, right? That's your responsibility. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about
Mrs.
CRT.
Haley, I'm having a hard time hearing you down here.
Okay,
That doesn't amplify you. That is just going out over the air.
Okay.
We just need you to speak a
Talk.
little louder if you can. Okay?
Sorry.
okay. So you guys have the awesome responsibility of selecting that curriculum for our district's school children. And I wanted to see what you guys have to say about CRT, critical race theory, that seems to be going through the country and seems to be invading our schools. And I am curious to know what we're doing about that here. So it does say theory, and theory is something that really hasn't been proven. It's a thought, but it hasn't been proven. I have questions for you. One is, do you support our District 118 schools separating first graders into 2 groups, like oppressed and oppressors, anti-racist, racist, or good and bad? Do you know? Okay, I know a lady that told me her 6-year-old granddaughter came home from school the first day, told her what she learned that day, and she said, I learned that blacks are good and whites are bad. Okay, that's what she remembered. for the whole day. This is not a racial issue to me. It's more like what's happening in our country, okay? So do you support mandatory curriculum teaching that all white people play a part in perpetuating systemic racism? The third one is, do you support public schools instructing white parents to become white traitors and to advocate for white abolition? That's kind of what's being talked about. So I lay those out to you, and I just would ask you, if you could address that sometime, I would appreciate it. Okay? Here are some 3 things from Hillsdale College that I wanted to bring out. 3 main points of CRT are racism, racism, or anti-racist and racist. The second one is collective guilt, like whites, especially white, privileged Christian males, are responsible for oppressing minorities, okay? And all whites, basically, but more the males. So it's also neo-segregation. It's the same old that we were trying to get past with Martin Luther King, the things that he talked about with going for the American dream. Now that's just going the opposite direction. This is what happens with CRT. CRT is inherently racist. We are judged by our skin color. It teaches that some minorities are oppressed because of skin color and that they are oppressed by and inferior to white people. It teaches whites that they are fundamentally racist, something they will never be able to change. And that makes me sad because that says that the minorities, then, they will never be able to change their status either. CRT erases the individual. It embraces collectivism. It groups people by unchangeable characteristics and reduces each person to nothing more than their race, or the color of their skin, if you want to say that. Here's one of the goals of CRT. That's critical race theory. It stokes division. That is one of the things that they're after, is to stoke division, resentment, and bitterness toward fellow Americans. CRT opposes biblical values. Some are guilty, some are guiltless. It offers no redemption, no way out, no way to change, always oppressed and inferior, or always racist and oppressor. How sad. What a future to look forward to for our kids. This is not just in schools, people. It's in our government. It's in all of our institutions. CRT rejects our free market system. It teaches that capitalism and racism are conjoined twins and must be abolished. CRT is being implemented at every level of our educational system. It is in our children's classrooms. Some schools say they don't teach CRT because there's no specific class called critical race theory. But it is incorporated into other subjects such as reading, spelling, math, history, etc. So I saw a video from this woman who was a teacher at a very, very elite, expensive private school.
I'm sorry. Your 5 minutes.
And she had a video out. She was saying, I am announcing today that I am resigning from a job that I really, truly love. And her problem was critical race theory. She said that in
I'm sorry.
every subject,
Your
yes?
5 minutes, you've reached your 5-minute mark?
Oh,
That was the bell.
okay,
Thank you.
yes.
All right. Hello, my name is Mandy Nardoni, and we currently have 2 students in the district. I wanted to start by telling you a few things that I am not. I am not a public speaker. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a legal professional. I'm not a political professional. I'm not a teaching professional. In fact, I'm not a degreed professional anything. So why do I feel qualified to speak tonight? Let me tell you a few things that I am. I am a mom and therefore an expert on my kids. I am a homeschooling mom and therefore an expert on how my kids learn best. I am responsible for the physical health of my children, therefore it's up to me to decide how to best care for their well-being. I am responsible for their social health of my children, therefore it's up to me to teach them to be participating citizens. I am responsible for the mental health of my children, therefore it's up to me to teach them to guard their hearts. I am responsible for the spiritual health of my children, therefore it's up to me to teach them that God loves them more than even I do, and even when evil presents itself, God wins every single time. Have I always been great at all of these? Absolutely not. A couple of mottos in my life are do the best you can with what you've got, and know better, do better. 10 or so years ago, when we stepped out of District 118 full-time, I knew as a mom that more parenting than educating was happening in the classrooms. Don't misunderstand. We loved our Garfield family, and they were doing the best they could with what they had. But God and I duked it out that year. It was made pretty clear that we were to start homeschooling. This is something I never, ever wanted to do. It had never even been on my radar. But I knew better than to ignore God, so I followed. Some families are strong academically, some are great at sports. Our family is musical. We re-entered a relationship with D118 so our kids could be involved in the music programs while keeping their primary learning at home. I understood that I could teach them music, but I can't provide a full band or orchestra or choir. That catches us up to spring 2020. We finished out 2020 with online music classes just like everyone else. We endured online music classes in 2020, 2021, like everyone else, before returning to the classroom to try to pick up the pieces where we left off. We chose to stay involved, so when things returned to normal, we could easily jump back in. My oldest daughter chose classes last spring to attend DHS full-time this fall, like her older brothers had already done. But again, it appears as though way more parenting will be happening this year under the guise of education. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not any kind of professional anything, but I can read. When we look back on this in 50 years, we will not be able to say that there was a lack of information out there. I've tried to read a bit of what the NIH, CDC, IDPH, ILGA, NEA, ISBE, VCHD, and D118 has put out regarding COVID-19. But I've also been able to use some discernment and find some reliable sources that counter what those agencies have released in statements and guidelines. As an expert in my kids and how they learn, and as a concerned parent, I have the right to disagree with how the district has chosen to handle the reopening of the school year. Choices you are making as a board and as an administration out of fear does not show leadership to our students or the community, and I implore you to seek better counsel. I was unable to attend the last board meeting, but I watched later online. You asked parents to contact our elected representatives if we didn't like what was happening. I can proudly say that between witness slips, emails, and phone calls, many parents have. Believe me, they were contacted long before you started getting my emails. You are the last line of defense to our kids as far as what goes on in the school building. You may be directed to do some things that the state mandates, but I ask you to please question how these mandates will impact your local students. Some things coming down from ISB have no place in the classroom, especially not the way they're being directed to be done. What works in Chicago will not work in Danville, the same way what works in Danville does not work in the smaller county schools. Our family wants to be involved in DHS this year. We want our teachers to be able to teach their specialized fields of expertise without the hindrance of what the state says they need to include, says how they need to include these very specific areas. We do not want things presented from the front of the classroom that should be left for families to discuss at home. These topics include, but are not limited to, vaccine promotion, invasive sex ed, inclusivity beyond loving each other as brothers and sisters, and race relations that promote division instead of unity. You may ask, but what about the kids who don't have families at home to lead them? The school actively promotes school and local groups that serve those that may not have the direction at home. I have like 10 more seconds.
Okay.
Can I finish? I'm sorry. Although maybe with the best intentions trying to fill the gap for kids, what you're actually doing is undermining the parents who are involved in their children's education. By not listening to parents who are actively involved, aren't you doing more of a disservice? This is a whole lot of words for me, as I'm not a public speaker. I ask that you be transparent and honest about what's happening in our school. I understand that at the end of the day, not everyone can be satisfied with the outcomes, and that is expected. But because your actions don't line up with your words, in some respects, it doesn't seem like you actually want active parental input. Until our family sees better choices being made for students and more honesty coming from the top, I'll continue to press on into some issues. Know better, do better. Thank you for your time.
We do have one more. Miss Hernandez.
Hi, I'm Sharina Hernandez. I hadn't really planned on speaking today, but I did have two grandchildren, actually three grandchildren in the district last year, and all three of them are not returning this year. One due to the mask mandates, and just like my granddaughter told me when she walked in here, she didn't have her glasses on. She said, "I can't even see, Grandma, because my glasses are steamed up." So, with that situation already, all children that have glasses will be dealing with that, I'm sure. I feel like it's the parents' choice. The parents should be able to make these decisions for the kids, not the schools. And the same thing with the vaccines. That should be something that the parents decide when it comes time with the vaccines. It should be a choice of the parents. Also, with the movement, the sex ed movement that's coming in with the children, I feel like that should be from the parents, not from the schools. It should be done in the home, talking about everything that's going on right now. And also with CRT and BLM, that also should be in the home. It shouldn't be brought through the schools. Everybody should be proud of their race and happy of who they are. They shouldn't feel that they shouldn't be who they are. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Sorry, we have one more.
Hi, my name is Adrienne Littlepage. I'm here as a parent tonight. I am an employee of District 118. I just want to say thank you, District 118. I think you've done a good job throughout this pandemic for our kids. Nobody's went hungry. But at the end of the day, as a parent, it starts at home. So regardless of what comes down from the board, what comes down from ISB, what comes down from Pritzker, as a parent, you're able to make your own decisions as far as how you want your child to be raised, taught, or whatever. So if you don't want your child to wear a mask, then that's something I think that should be talked about within your own family. But it's so much commotion going on. Some families want masks, some families don't. You also have to do what's best for your family. So for my family, I want my son to be able to go to school, learn like he's supposed to, but I also want him to be safe. That's first. Safety is first. So I just want to commend District 118. I know there's been a lot of, comments that come forth tonight, but I want to say thank you. I appreciate you. I'm in the district too, so I see what goes on as well. So keep doing the job that you're doing.
Do you want to? So, first of all, thank you for the comments, okay? It is a free society, and you do have a First Amendment right, and we value it. So, and thank you for the comment about the 5 minutes. Yes, we are generous, because lots of places are 3 minutes or 2 minutes. So, and we're, or less. So thank you for coming forward. We do realize, for everybody that comes, there's a lot of people who don't. And that you speak for a lot of people that are out there because, as you said, you're not a public speaker or whatever. Public speaking is a difficult thing for a lot of people. So for you to come up here and talk to us and give us your opinions, we value that on that level, but also kudos to you for getting up and saying something, because that's what the whole process is about. And even though it's about masking, okay, which is what it is now, we would love to see comments when we're not talking about masking and on the other thing, but somehow that doesn't draw as much attention. okay, because maybe in about 3 months, we probably won't have any comments. But, so I'm just gonna say kudos to coming for giving us comments this evening. But Dr. Geddes has something to share with us from,
Dr. Ayala, Illinois State Board of Education, sent to me at 4:22 today.
it's fresh, very fresh.
I will save you the first 2 pages and go to the middle, where it says, Dear Superintendent, now we're going to jump, right? The executive order has the force of law. I understand the pressures some school districts and district leaders may be facing from community members, and I will provide you with every support to understand, communicate, and comply with the order. However, non-compliance is not an option. I will not compromise the health and safety of students or staff, nor will I risk even one child's life. Local boards of education, schools, and school districts do not have the authority to deny the governor's executive order, which requires universal indoor masking in schools. Doing so not only puts the students' health and safety at risk, but also opens the district to extraordinary legal liability. The potential of doing so without any insurance to cover damages. I strongly recommend that each district consult with its counsel and insurer to fully understand the repercussions. Further, ISB has and will use its authority pursuant to 23 IL Admin Code 1.20 to ensure school districts protect students and staff. If school districts fail to do so, you risk your state recognition. Skip, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you for your partnership and support. Dr. Carmen Ayala.
Okay, that pretty well sums up the state's position on that. Governor Pritzker is not changing his mind, nor is the State Board of Education, or IDPH, and exposes the liability of the district. So even though we could go against it, it does really jeopardize the legal ramifications. And I just talked to our attorney today one more time. I had an opinion from her on my phone that she wrote for the last meeting that we had. And she was on her way to testify at 2 different school districts this evening to warn them of the same ramifications that you just heard in that letter. So unfortunately, our hands are kind of tied in this position. We could go against it, but it has been highly advised that we don't. Is whatever you can read into that, whatever. Okay, seriously, and you can read into that whatever. No matter what we may want to do personally up here, that's like I say. When you have an edict like that, that pretty well clears that out or states that out. Mr. Henderson, would you like to give us some good public comment? Did you want to say something?
Or I could save it for the end.
Okay. It'll probably be.
I'll do it for board comment.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
I thought you might.
I can do it now.
Yeah. I thought you might change on that.
Okay.
Okay. As I have something at the end also. Okay, that brings us.
Dr. Ashen, I could just ask a question, because I concur with what you said. Our hands are very tied. Although I wanted Mr. Cronkite and Ms. Nargoni to know that I heard what you were saying about the having reliable sources of dissenting information. And that's hard to find. A lot of the dissent is not out there just easily to find. So what and I know that Mr. Cronkite, you said you were going to be sending us some things. And Ms. Nardoni, you may also. If you have access to this studies, the information, if you want to send that along, I'd be interested in looking at that. I think looking at the dissenting opinion is very important for critical thinking, and we are an educational institution, not an indoctrination institution. So I'm interested in the dissenting opinion or the counter argument. So I at least think that I would, and Dr. Bartosh last week also had some other information, and I certainly think that if you would like to share that with us, I for one will be happy to take a look at it. I don't know that there's anything I can do, but I certainly would be very interested to see the background information. So thank you and thank everyone for your comments.
Okay, that brings us to item number 6, HR, Human Resources.
Good evening, Board and Dr. Geddes. Kim Pabst here with the Director of HR. I have a few MOAs, Memorandums of Agreements, for you this evening. The first one is our hiring and recruiting incentive for staff. This will be our 3rd year, if allowed, to do these incentives. It is an incentive for staff for recruiting, an incentive for new teachers for supplies for their classrooms, and then an incentive for in-district staff to transfer to hard-to-fill positions. Would you like me to keep going with all 3 of them? Just keep
No, I
going?
think we need to vote on each one.
Yeah, just
individually.
one at a time.
Dr. Ashton, I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. We have a second?
Second.
We have them all over the place. Any comments or questions?
Yes.
Thank you.
Are these the 3 incentives? We're voting on the 3 incentives for hiring staff?
Correct.
Okay.
Recruiting and yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Dobbs?
Yes.
Mrs. Halloran?
Yes.
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes?
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Next.
The next one we have is the salary incentive for social workers. Again, would be the 3rd, maybe 4th year that we've had this. This is a sign-on incentive of $5,000 where they work with us for the following 3 years. If they do not commit to 3 years, they do have to pay the entire incentive back.
Dr. Ashton, I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Second.
Mrs. Halloran seconds. Any questions or comments?
One quick one.
Yes.
This is, I think you've already said it, but this is the same incentive that we've had for the last 2 years.
Correct, yes.
Okay, so you have a motion and a second for retired? Nope. For social workers? Incentives? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Dobbs?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Halloran?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0.
The last one I have for you this evening is another repeat from the last 2 years, and this is for the daily rate for retired in-district long-term subs. This would be hiring the subs that, again, are District 118 retirees that stay for at least 1 semester, so they either open a classroom or close the classroom, that they receive their pay of what the daily rate of their last year in district minus the retirement.
Dr. Ashton, I move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson.
Second.
Thank you.
And Pastor Miller seconds. Any questions or comments? Retired teacher pay is the motion that we are going to vote on. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Dobbs?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes?
Mrs. Halloran?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Carey? Dr. Ashton?
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes 7-0. That brings us to item number 7.
Dr. Ashton?
Yes.
Before Mrs. Pabst leaves, may I ask her a question?
If that's okay with her?
Sure.
We have other incentives. Are those embedded in the contract or?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. These are
Thank
the
you.
ones that have been voted on separately the last couple years.
okay,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you for checking.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Thank you, Ms. Pat.
Good evening, Dr. Geddes and Board of Education. I'm Kelly Truex, the Director of Educational Support Programs, and I am here to recommend that we partner with the East Central Illinois Community Action Agency for an after-school tutoring program for students in grades 6 through 12 You do have a copy, or you should have a copy of the agreement. They would like to tutor up to 300 students. They will be going from August to December. The time would be from 2:30 to 6:30 in the evening, focused on reading and math. They have some counseling areas as far as career choices. They would like to have a 4-week workshop for the SAT, and also FAFSA help for those students as well. So I recommend that we partner with them. This will be paid for using ESSER funds, and I hope that you will approve that. The cost would be at the most $90,000 from August to May. I think it's like August to May. It'd be the whole school year, Monday through Friday, for 300, up to 300 students. So the total cost could be $90,000.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, because I had a question also.
Item 2.
I'll move approval.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. We have a second?
A second?
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. And how about since you were the first one to raise a question, go ahead.
Ms. Trix, where is the tutoring going to occur at?
At the Community Action Center.
Which is where?
You know, you would ask me that. I'll have to find out. I'm not
Is
sure.
it downtown? Is that what?
Do you know where
Downtown
the-
on Vermillion?
On Vermillion?
It's, okay.
That's
And
their
is
office.
transportation included in this?
No, it is not. I'm not sure if they're going to have them provide their own transportation or if that's something Community Action will take care of, but it is not in this agreement.
Okay. And I had one other question when I
Do you want
read
to
through
speak to
it.
transportation?
Mr. Henderson will look into that by each school. If we have a group of kids, then we can do the drop off.
Because we can get them there.
Yes.
The question is, how do they get home? But that would be community actions to take care of. Is that what I'm hearing? Or we need to work
It's
that
not
out?
in this proposal,
It's not in the
transportation.
grant? Okay, so no
I mean,
dollars
it
are
can
allocated?
always be amended. I mean,
Right.
that's something we can always
Okay.
do if we decide we want to do that. It just
So-
wasn't in this service proposal.
Okay, I just, because I did, and Ms. Carey was a question she had too, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we didn't see that. And then the other part that I saw was that we are gonna have who pays the certified teachers? I noticed that you said in the dialogue that the grant is for the tutors, but there's a section in there where you indicated certified staff would come in. Where does
That
I mean,
again is up to the responsibility of the Community Action. They are charging us per student. So I'm not sure how they are going to do that, if they're going to post those positions and maybe offer to our own certified staff. I can't answer that question. I can find out for you if you'd
Okay.
like that.
So that would come out of the allocation that they currently have
Yes,
then?
it's just a flat cost of $300 per student.
Okay,
And then that covers the cost of their program.
okay. But
So
there-
it's like a purchase service, like we are purchasing this tutoring service from Community Action.
Okay. I think,
It's like if we partnered with any, like Sylvan tutoring service or something like that. They charge per student. So Community Action will be charging the district per student, and these are the items, or these are the services that they will provide per student. That, these are the options that will be there. Now, will every student do these? Maybe not. But they will have these options, and it's up to 300 students that they say that they can serve. And they would like to hire 6, I think it says in the back, they want 6 tutors. That will not be coming through us. That will all be handled through Community Action.
that's not part of the $90,000.
It is part of the 90,000 because they,
But they'll
Well-
do their own, but they'll have a budget.
they will, this is
Okay.
this is the service
I'm with you
agreement,
now,
and
Ms.
that's
Stretch.
part of their budget. So the 90,000 would, the 300 per student would cover all those costs for Community Action.
Okay, and then their choice of what certified staff, that would be up to them.
Yes, it would.
But are they talking about teacher, I mean certified?
That's what, when I talked with Miss Odette, yes, that's what she would like to have, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
But I can get more information for that if you would like, once they get started.
And I guess my question is, I didn't see anything about evaluation
Oh, the monitoring piece?
Yeah.
Okay, they are to, if you look on page, where is it? Monitoring of the after-school service, it's on the second to last page. They are to provide me attendance records. Each participant will be required to sign in, and then they report the attendance to me, and then they will also work with the parents to provide like feedback on the services that are happening. So they do have to provide that monitoring piece to my department.
Okay. That was my question.
It's the same thing that we have done in the summer with Laura Lee. Laura Lee, when they were here last time, it's not the same services, but it's the same process. They are charging us per student, and it's a purchase service, and they provide me the attendance records, and they would have to get parent consent to, you see if that's affecting their grades and the things like that they're doing, because this is all to address the COVID learning loss.
And each building will have, information to put out to parents to know how to contact.
Well, if you look at, I think it's on where they're going to identify the kids, they will take, let's see what page is that on. Recruitment of students is on the last page. And what they would like to do is the tutors, with prior permission from District 118, will conduct meetings maybe in the schools to explain the services to the teachers, parents, and students. They will receive referrals or recommendations, they say primarily from guidance counselors, because it is like a 6 through 12 program is what they're referring to, grades 6 through 12, but they said they would be open to younger students. And also, they would take recommendations from judicial authorities, probation officers, and judges. So that is where they would get their recruitment of students, working with the schools and the other agencies.
I have a follow-up to Mr. Henderson's questions. I have a bit of a concern about the education tutors. And this whole proposal covers a wide broad of services.
It does.
And it's mentoring, it's academics, it's counseling. And those are some very specific skills. And so my concern is, if it's a certified teacher, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
If it's not, if it's an education tutor, how are those people vetted, and how do we know that those people are vetted?
I can definitely ask Miss Odette, to come and speak to us if you would like those, those answers, or get those answers for you.
I can piggyback on that and tell you that this proposal mirrors what has happened as a part of the ETS program that has been in our community for about 12, 15 years.
The talent shirt.
So this is,
Talent search.
that is this program, now Danville District 118. It's what Danville has offered to our community for about 15 years. And it's done the same way, except now we're bringing it to help us address our learning loss. So it's really not new to the community.
It's been around for a while. I know that's what she had said with the educational talent search program. She has mirrored that, just like Dr. Gettis said.
Any other questions?
I have one, and it's indirectly. Last board meeting, we approved for a program at Laura Lee, and tonight we're talking about community action. Are we going to be looking at anything for Project Success?
I haven't worked with Project Success yet. We are reaching out to community agencies. We can definitely do that. But
I
Project
just-
I
Success
can
is
actually answer
also
that.
grant already.
I can answer that for you.
Okay.
I actually reached out to Project Success first, and what they did submit to me was a proposal for about $350,000. And I needed him to retweak it because that was way outside of what
Okay, so we've had some communication with them?
I actually did him first.
Okay.
And we've worked with the Boys and Girls Club. If you remember,
And
we
Boys
did
and
the
Girls
Boys and
Club's
Girls
another
Club,
one, right.
yes.
Okay.
We actually did them 2 years ago.
And remember, we have ESSER, this is ESSER 2 funds, and we do have ESSER 3 funds, and this is a three-year opportunity that we can provide some after-school tutoring through our community services. So we can always continue
I just
to work
wondered,
for those.
we hadn't talked about it, hadn't heard anything, and I just was curious. Thank
So
you.
far, we've done the Boys and Girls Club, and we've approved Laura Lee, and now this would be community action.
So we've already, okay, boys.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Seeing none, we are voting on, oh, the ECI CAA service proposal. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Halloran,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Mr. Dobbles,
Yes.
Mr. Henderson,
Yes.
Pastor Miller,
Abstain.
Mrs. Carey,
Yes.
Dr. Ashton.
Yes. Motion passes 6-I, 1 abstention.
And can I just say, Dr. Ashton, if you, Pastor Miller and I serve on the board, and so Pastor Miller abstained from the vote for that reason.
Read nothing into that. That brings us, to item number 7.
Okay, I'm here again to ask, this time to recommend your approval for a Spanish interpreter extracurricular position. We have approximately, over the last 5 years, we have had 199, approximately 199 on average students, English learner students. Last year, at the end of 2021, we had approximately 168 English learners, and of those, 146 students are students with the native language of Spanish in their homes. So many times the student may or may not speak Spanish, but someone in the household does, and therefore we are needing translation services. We need those both verbally and written. A lot of times we need our materials translated for our written things to send home, and then we have many meetings that when we meet with the families, they're after contractual hours, and so we would like to have a Spanish interpreter, and it will also be ESSER funds.
This would be paid, oh, sorry. I know, we have to have a motion first, sorry.
Move to approve.
Thank you. We have a motion. Second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Henderson.
Would be paid at our contractual rate, or is there a different rate that they would be paid?
It's the contractual rate. It would be an extracurricular stipend. I believe that is 5% of the base, is that correct? It could be any percent.
So it's already in the contract?
It is not in the
According to the
contract.
contract, we wouldn't deviate from the contract.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a percent of the extracurricular base, or if it was a timesheet.
No, it wouldn't be a timesheet. It would be like an extracurricular position that we
Is there a
would.
particular school, or are you talking multiple
No,
schools?
this would be district,
It'd be a district position.
a
Okay.
district position.
All right, thank you, Mr. X.
Mr. Truex, you need to know what the stipend will be.
I have budgeted $27.95. I believe that, from what I was told, it was 5%. I thought it was 5%.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, one more.
Good.
Yes, is this gonna be enough? I mean,
That's my
well,
question,
with
too.
146 students, will one person meet our need?
Negotiate with them, Mrs. Truitt.
Well, I would gladly like to pay this, pay this position at a higher rate.
But would you-
But as of right now.
Would you need more than one?
Oh, more than one position. Oh, okay. Right now, I'm not exactly sure how many things. Yes, we have this many students. Right now, we are having someone do that, and they have timesheet that, but I don't have an exact number of hours that person has spent doing that. And it wasn't something that we could always have available to us, since it wasn't an extracurricular position.
Well, I guess the question that I would have then is if you've been timesheeting it before, and my question is will they be getting paid less with the stipend? Or
No.
should it be higher?
No, it would not, it would not be less. Mainly because this person is not required to come to those things, obviously. So when we post this position, and it's an extracurricular position, then obviously we would expect that person to spend time after contractual hours doing these things.
And it's enough.
It should, yes.
But if it's not, we can come back.
If it's not, we could come back. Also, I will tell you, we've tried to work with our Spanish-speaking employees. We've tried to work within contractual hours. I will tell you that. We've set meetings trying to work within contractual hours. It is very hard to do that when you have some buildings that are out at 2:30 and some that are out at 4. And so we found that it wasn't, we don't have people always available for that. So we would like to make this an extracurricular position, so that would be part of the requirement.
So then this person would possibly in the evenings have to reach out to some of these parents to
Yes.
talk to them and get the information to them. So
If
it
there
would be
are,
after normal working hours sometimes.
well,
after some
yes,
of the
an
normal-
extracurricular
Yeah.
stipend is for after contractual hours.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, this is for the Spanish interpreter extracurricular stipend. And kudos to us for at least taking care of this position and making this available to help our families out. So good
I
for
guess
us.
I have one more question. See,
Oh,
I just
go ahead.
don't understand it, Kelly.
Okay.
How much do assistant coaches for sports get as a stipend?
I was gonna say Kim, you.
Oh, God, it's anywhere from, I mean, you start at 5%, go up to 29% of the base.
High school
Assistants
gets
usually start at
obviously higher.
2.5 to 5%, just.
I hate to say this, but I just kind of think this position is more important than,
Okay.
assistant coaches.
Well, I do appreciate that.
We'll see how this works.
I do. I mean, I was thinking more like a unit leader. I believe, is it the unit leader? What is the unit leader? 5%. So that's kind of what I based it on. Yes. Unit leaders, division leaders, 5%. That's what I based it on.
Okay,
Ms. Hightower would like to say something.
would you like to say something?
We can do that if it's
5.5, I'm
extra.
sorry, they're up to 5.5. One thing that
Hey.
One thing that we have to focus on, it's not 5% of the base, it's 5% of the extracurricular base.
Mhm.
Because I don't want anybody to go to the base salary of the teacher schedule and think that it's 5% of that, that is not it. And what is that now? It's 41,000 with the new contract.
Okay, all right, we good? Are we good? Roll call vote, please.
Pastor Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader,
Yes.
Mr. Henderson,
Yes.
Mrs. Carey,
Yes.
Mrs. Halloran,
Yes.
Mr. Dobbles.
No.
Dr. Ashton.
C.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Seis, sees, un, no.
What does that mean?
Oh, un, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's good. I'm not volunteering for that job. There's no way. So, 6 yes, 1 no. A motion passed. That brings us to,
Dr. Ashton, before you go on, again, I would like to explain my no, and my no is, I think it should be at least 10%.
okay, thank you. I don't think we'll argue, but that's the motion that we had. So 8, business and finance. What do you have for us?
Good evening, Board. Dr. Geddes, Danville 118 family. I am Narcissus Rankin, Director of Business and Finance. You can't hear me? Can you hear me?
We're having a
Louder.
little trouble down here.
Okay, sorry. I am here this evening to ask that the board post the proposed budget for the 2021-2022 school year. This budget is proposing an estimated revenue of $84,778,573 and expenditures at $72,040. We are still conservative in estimating our revenues for, like we have been in the past. Last year, the budget accounted for approximately 90 to 93%. And that was, and I talked about that last year, was due to the uncertainty of the pandemic. This year, I have budgeted revenue at 95%, which is basically what we have done in the past. And included in my expenditures are the capital projects that we were still talking about, like the science labs. The board has expressed, so I've included those expenditures this year in this budget. Some things that are new to the budget this year, the activity funds, the state board has required that we add the student, which we currently do not. Student activity funds are not part of my budget. They will be accounted for under Fund 10 in my budget, so that has been added. And then the administrative cost worksheet, last year they added TORP, Fund 80. So those are two new things. Last year's ending fund balance, pre-audit was $37,985,623. So this is approximately $7 million more than anticipated, and a lot of that has to do with us collecting more revenue than I budgeted for last year because of I budgeted very conservative due to the pandemic, and in addition to that, the expenditures were not as much, and that was due to shortage of supplies. So a lot of the capital projects that we spoke about in May, right after we spoke about it, Mr. Truex heard that there would be a lag in supplies. So that's part of it. But I do anticipate my fund balance changing during the audit because of accruals. So I am recommending today that the board post the proposed 2021-2022 budget.
Okay, so permission to display this, and how long will this be on display?
It needs to be displayed a minimum of 30 days.
And it'll be on the website, anybody can see it,
Yes, sir.
right? And it'll also be hard copy that someone wants to come and read it, they can do so also.
Yes.
Okay, and then we will have a meeting again, and we will talk about the budget and discuss it, correct?
Yes.
That's the process that we go through? Okay, do we need a,
Yes.
motion to, okay?
Proficient to display.
So, let's have one. Does anyone wanna?
So moved.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments about this?
Yeah. So Ms. Rankin, and I've not looked at it, I'll be very candid, I've not looked at it very thoroughly.
Okay.
But you're proposing a $5 million deficit budget.
Yes, sir.
Do we have an idea of, last year we proposed a deficit budget as well.
Yes, sir.
Did we end up with a deficit spending?
We
June 30th fund balance, again, my apologies, I've not looked, I could probably tell myself if I looked it up. But did we end up with a deficit at the end of the year?
Yes, we did, but not as much as I anticipated.
Okay, so the deficit was not as great as what we thought,
No, because we collected a lot more revenue.
more than what we anticipated. Okay, thank you.
Questions, comments, no? Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Mr. Dobbles?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mrs. Halloran?
Yes.
And Dr. Ashton?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Buildings and grounds.
Cleaning it for you since you cleaned so much for us.
Don't touch anything.
I'm the last one, so. Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Geddes. I'm excited to be here tonight to seek
And you
your.
are?
I'm sorry, good point.
Well, you're masked.
And I know that
Yeah,
Mr.
you know, you're masked, so we.
And Mr. Truex is watching from home, and he's so disappointed now. But I am Seth Oldfield with Buildings and Grounds, and we're seeking your approval, or at least your approval of our recommendation for the 10-year Health Life Safety Survey that was submitted by Rice Tech Reed Architects. I think we did that maybe a month or so ago.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve accept the health and life safety plan?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbles.
Second.
You may pick whomever you'd like.
Okay.
Any questions or comments? Oh, come on, ask him something.
I'll ask you something.
Thank you, Mr. Dobbles.
Well, we don't have any choice. We have to approve this, right?
Yes, you do.
That's what I thought, okay.
In that case, that's succinct, I like that. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Mrs. Carey?
Yes.
Mrs. Schrader?
Yes.
Mr. Dobbles?
Yes.
Pastor Miller?
Yes.
Mrs. Halloran?
Yes.
Mr. Henderson?
Yes.
Dr. Ashley?
Yes, motion passes 7-0. See how easy that is?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. That brings us to item number 10, informational items.
I think I shared the information as a part of.
Okay, that's great.
Comments, so, public comments.
Board and superintendent comments.
I'll be brief. I want to thank everyone, all the parents who have registered their students for the 2021-2022 school year. We started registering students on June 2nd, and we've been assisting families all year long. Thank you, because I know I actually got the call that I hadn't done my children properly, so thank you. I appreciate it. For any student who has not been registered, families will need to use the new student registration link located on the district website and resubmit their information. Parents will need to supply a photo ID and proof of residency to register. The buildings have been more than willing to assist, so see your building principal, reach out to them, and we can help get you registered. It was great to see the signs of a promising new school year. Fall sports, marching bands, schools doing registration, the orientation. I want to thank Danville High School. That was the one I did get to see. I'm a little biased because I have children there. Yesterday, they had the upperclassmen and the freshmen were here today. They were like deer in the headlights. It was so cute. Students were welcomed and given lots of information regarding student support services, COVID protocols, and behavior and dress expectations. I'm going to ask for Ms. Cherry. Parents, I know our students have been out for a while and aren't really kind of remembering. I'm just going to say they're not remembering our dress code protocols. Not that we have a dress code, let me not say, but we have some expectations, particularly as they relate to midriffs and shorts and short shorts. So let us remember, parents, to get our kids back into the swing of how we dress when we come to school. We will be enforcing those expectations going forward. Northridge is having their back-to-school bash on Tuesday, August 17th from noon to 2 p.m. or from 4 to 6. Southview is having their elementary open house, 5th grade on Tuesday, the 17th from 4 to 6. 6th grade on Wednesday, August 18th from 4:30 to 6:30. Please remember masks are required for everyone. Thank you, principals, for reaching out to make sure we kind of reorient our students back to school. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Henderson?
I have a couple comments that I'd like to make. First of all, if you haven't been by Northridge, Edison, or the high school, you've missed a lot of stuff going on. Northridge, Edison, and the high school all got new signs from Watchfire. They're very bright and informative, and I think they'll be very welcoming for the public to be able to keep track of what's going on. The high school also has a major parking lot project going on. Hopefully it'll be done here shortly because we're going to be using that parking lot. And some work done over at Edison to enhance the entrance going in for parents off of Jackson Street. And again, I just encourage people to go by those buildings and see some of the work that's been done. The second comment that I have is I'd like to recognize the Danville School Foundation. Last Wednesday evening, Mr. Bob Richards, the executive director, and Ms. Marichette, his assistant, put together a recognition reception to honor Phyllis Rogers and her late husband, Gary. This recognition was in honor of their time and their years helping the district and their financial support of the foundation. It was very well done, and I just am glad that Ms. Rogers was able to be recognized in that way. So thank you to the foundation for doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Any other comments on this side?
I just want to reiterate that we are very appreciative of the people who come and speak during public comments. Our board comes from many different walks of life. We may have access to the same information, but we don't always stumble across the same information all the time. And so it is really helpful and effective when you come and share your heart and your thoughts and your mind with us. So thank you. I know it is not easy, and you do have to take time out of your own lives to do that. We value you and we appreciate you. And I also just want to say to all of the teachers and the administrators who are in our buildings and ramping up to get back into our buildings, and I know Northeast has already started. I'm praying for you. I appreciate you. And thank you so much for everything that you're doing, and our staff as well. Thank you for everything that you are doing. And I recognize that you are the front lines with our students, these people that are our most vulnerable constituents. You are the front lines, and I thank you for the love that you are already, I can see it, getting ready to pour into these kids. Thank you. I know it's going to be a great year, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
To kick off the year, I'm excited to say that we have a speaker who will be coming the day before contractual day. I had the pleasure and honor to hear him at Rising Tide, and I was so inspired by his message and what he has to say to educators who work so hard for our kids. And I'm so excited that we as a district get to hear him, get to take advantage of the message that he has. I would encourage all of our staff to take advantage of this opportunity, all of the board to also come and listen to him. I don't think you'll regret it at all. He's an amazing man.
Thank you.
Are board members allowed to come to this?
Sure.
Okay.
Why
I
not?
just wanted to also congratulate especially all the administrators and teachers that are already back in the buildings. I've been driving around and right, Northridge was like they were in session. There today. But what I want to say to you and to parents and to the community, these people have never stopped. They have been working 24/7 all year. They may not have been in buildings, but they've been working. There have been workshops, there's been leadership things, there's been group things. Teachers are ready to get back with the students. They have been preparing. They know what the challenge is. They are ready for the challenge. What I ask parents, support them. We may not all agree on how we get there, but we are there. So please, do what we can to support them. They're living under the same regs that we are. They're just trying to do their best. And I was so impressed this week to see Channel 3 and to see our football coach being interviewed, that he will be back out on the field this year. I've been watching the band out there in the heat with band camp. So there's a lot going on to get kids back into the swing of things. So I say kudos to everyone that has already begun. And, I'm like Shannon. I'll be praying for you guys because I know that it is not going to be easy.
Thank you.
Sure. It's been last year was a tough year. And thank all the staff, especially, all the staff. Teachers had to do virtual and in-person. It was a tough year. And as I've mentioned in the last 2 board meetings, this will be the 3rd one, I would hope that the board would consider the possibility of putting together a memo of agreement where teachers would be paid their step increment for for last year. For last year, yes. And I would hope that 4 board members would agree with that. If not, then I will drop that idea, but like to see if we can put something together for the next board meeting.
I'd just like to thank again with the comments from some of the other board members about the hard work that has already went forth for all of our principals, our teachers, and Dr. Geddes and Mr. Hart and Dr. Jacoby. And here we are, again, facing some challenges with COVID. So I'm praying for all of us and the safety of all of our students and all of our parents and the staff this year as we move forward. But you should already be commended for what you've already done and yet what we're facing. So I will continue to pray for all of us this year as you have worked extremely hard, and you're already working hard getting our students ready for in-person learning again. So again, on my behalf, and I know other board members here, we appreciate everything that all of you have already done and that you're doing to help our students be successful. I again want to thank the board for the approval for the community action to help also keep our students on top by offering the tutoring program this fall and all the way to the end of the year. So again, I'm really thankful to this district for the hard efforts that are being made to keep our students current and just on top of everything concerning their education. So again, thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Next meeting will be 8/25, August 25th. Looking forward to that. I have a couple comments before we adjourn. First of all, I hope we get to the point where we're not wearing masks and we're not talking about masks and we don't even see a mask, okay? I think we all will, we all hope we get there, and we're looking for that day. We had this discussion in the office today. Who would have thought we'd still here last year at this time? No one ever thought we'd still be here going into school doing this. So my sympathies, seriously, my sympathy. I'm very sympathetic. God bless all you teachers, all the staff, all the administration, all the support people, everybody that works for our district. Thank you very much. I'm going to appreciate you, it's a love fest before school starts, but it's going to continue on through the year. So thank you all for returning back this year. We certainly do appreciate it. One last thing, I'm going to personal favor here is to the Rook Canals are having a concert Sunday night, 6:30 in the park. But we don't care about that. We want to care about this part. You might want to come to this one because it's for the choir, for the show choir. Jeff and Cassie Thomas are going to be singing with the Rook Canals, and this is kind of cool. I think this is really kind of cool. It's called Songs from the Sea. They met on a cruise ship, working on a cruise ship together. So we're doing cruise ship show band stuff, okay? This is really kind of cool. They're rehearsing right now, actually. And it's Sunday night at 6:30. There'll be an offering for the kids going into show choir to scholarship funds for them to raise money for them, for those kids who can't or have difficulty raising money during the year. Just another money generating opportunity for the kids in show choir. So even if you don't care about that, come see the Rook Canals. If you don't care about the Rook Canals, come see Jeff and Cassie and Marty Linval, our ex-choir director. All three of them will be singing. Mr. Tom Harrigan, our ex-band director, will be there also. So 6:30 Sunday night, Lincoln Park. We're adjourned. Thank you very much. Shameless plug.
Mr. Ricky?